If cold calling is not booking you meetings, it is almost never because cold calling doesn't work. It's more likely that you are not doing enough volume, and the volume that you are doing isn't relevant enough. In the next few minutes, I'm going to show you exactly how we book qualified enterprise demos for supply chain logistics and procurement software companies with cold calling. This is the exact same approach that we use to book one company 280 qualified demos in a single year. So if you run sales or growth at a software company in this space, stay with me, because by the end, you will know how to build a calling engine that actually fills your pipeline consistently. Let's get into it. So here's the one idea that everything else hangs on. The team that wins at cold calling is the one that does more volume than everybody else, but keeps the conversations relevant. It sounds obvious, but almost nobody, is able to pull it off because volume and relevance constantly fight one another. So if you research every single person hand by hand, you will stay relevant, but you can only reach a handful of people. If you blast everybody with the same script, you get a lot of volume, but you are not relevant to anybody. The whole game is building an engine that gives you both at once. There are 4 parts to it, okay? You got the data, the segmentation, the volume, and the call itself, okay? So let's break it down one by one. The first one, which is the data, essentially, this is your phone numbers that you're able to get. You cannot do enough volume if you can't reach the right people, and you cannot reach the right people if you have bad numbers or not enough numbers. So getting accurate phone number data is the foundation of everything. Most teams are pulling from either Cognism or ZoomInfo. They're the most popular in the USA and Europe, but there's one problem with that. All of your competitors are using the exact same thing. So if everybody's working off the same list, calling the same guys, that means you're calling the person and pitching the 10th time that they've heard for that exact same offer. That makes it a lot more difficult. We personally run things through about 12 different databases to get as much contact information as possible and hit people that haven't been hit yet. That means your phone numbers are far more accurate if you're running it through a lot of databases, but you're also reaching people that haven't been hit yet, which means you're the first one to the table, the most likely to get the most time to explain your offer, and the most likely to get a meeting out of it because you're the first one there. It's much easier to pitch and book someone when nobody else has worn them down first. So part 2, the segmentation. Now, this is really how you stay relevant without killing your volume, and it's essential. Essentially, everybody is getting a lot of cold calls now, and nobody really wants to have the small talk like they used to, especially in the enterprise space. The only way that you earn their time is by being genuinely relevant to them. But the trick is, you don't get relevance by researching every single person one by one. You could, but it takes far too long. You get it by segmenting your campaigns. You break people down into groups. You tailor the message to these groups, not the individual. And then at a simple level, you could split it by function. You can have procurement, supply chain, logistics, finance. Each one gets a message that speaks specifically to their world. Then you can go a bit deeper. You can take a procurement segment and narrow it down to companies that look like a competitor that you have already helped. Or you take a supply chain person and narrow it to the ones that are already running SAP. Now, everyone in that campaign hears something that it feels like it was made specifically for them, but you can still call hundreds of people into that one list. That is relevance and volume at the same time, which is exactly what you are after. Part 3. Part 3 is actually the volume itself, which basically everyone is overestimating how much volume they're doing. My guys personally do about 200 dials a day minimum per caller, into the thousands depending on the market you're going after. And it's pretty simple. People are busy, busier than ever. Senior buyers do not sit by the phone waiting for your call, and they do not pick up the majority of the time. So you have to call the same person Monday at 1, Tuesday at 3, Wednesday at 4, and you keep varying the day and time until you catch them at a moment where they can actually talk. Let me give you the real numbers so this isn't just abstract. Out of 200 dials in a day, you're looking at roughly 20 to 40 actual conversations, and that swings depending on the country you're calling and the offer you're calling for. Then, very roughly, about 1 in every 10 real conversations turns into a booked meeting or more information. though it really depends on how good your offer is and, again, who you're talking to. So the real number is there that you need to care more about the conversations and not the dials. You need to do as many dials as possible to get the number of conversations that you need. And the only way to get enough of them is to find the buyer who is genuinely struggling right now. The only way to find those guys is with volume. If you do enough volume, you find enough people struggling, you can actually pitch and actually get meetings. And the fourth part, the call. So this is where it all kind of comes together, and this is the structure that we use beat by beat. But in all honesty, the biggest thing here is if you are calling the right people with enough volume and enough relevance, you can use an average script and you will get meetings. Scripts are a nice way to take it from 5 meetings a week to 7 meetings a week, but to get it from 0 to 5, you need good data, you need good segmentation, and you need good volume. We like to do it this way. Permission-based opener that kind of breaks their initial, what they usually hear on the phone. Ask them for 15 to 30 seconds if they have time to take a cold call. Some people will say no, schedule a better time, okay? But then at least you're respecting their time, which is one of the biggest things. Then explain the value and try to hook them very quickly. Why are you reaching out to them? You help specific teams like X, you help companies do Y, you work with a specific competitor Z, and this helps you make it as relevant as possible, as early as possible, okay? Now, the second part then is to go into a discovery question. It's asking if they're struggling with a specific thing, if they want to go deeper into a specific thing, do they want to make more of a specific thing? Feel a little bit of what they're trying to achieve so that you know that and you can tell that they're genuinely interested. People say they're not interested in something like this. You can dive a little bit deeper, try to push, but your warmest leads are your ones that answer that discovery question well and give you depth at what they're trying to achieve. Then you back it up with the social proof. We've helped a company similar to you do X, Z, Y. Here's the amount of companies that we've helped. A little bit more mechanism to explain logically why you can get them this end result. That's what I notice a lot of companies are missing, is mechanism. It's not really clear as to how you get them that end result. And if you're calling someone for the 20th time, it needs to be very clear why your mechanism makes clear sense compared to all the other competitors' mechanisms. So you need the mechanism in there. Then you always round it off asking for a call, trying to make it value-based. Hey, want a free call where we can audit your entire outbound, things like that? How about Friday at 3? Pitch with a specific date and a specific time, so it's more likely that they give you an actual yes or no. Whereas you just say, want to have a call? It's very easy to say no. If you pitch a date and a time, they actually start looking, you have the likelihood of getting that actual call. Get it booked in. If not, handle objections like you normally would. I think everybody knows how to do that. But then it's a couple of qualification questions. You want to figure out, is this something for now or for the future, so you can gauge if they're genuinely interested? Ask questions that help you prepare for your strategy session or your sales call or demo so you can dive a little bit deeper. And any questions just to gauge their general interest. You always want to make sure that you're asking these questions so you can figure out whether they're genuinely interested or if they're just too scared to say no over the phone, which does genuinely happen. So if you have those deep questions, you can tell if someone's genuinely interested and prepare for their call. So these are the things that you need, yeah? Data, segmentation, volume, and good scripting. If you have all of these and you're doing enough volume, you will achieve a lot of results and you can make it very scalable, okay? Now listen, if you fall into one of those categories of supply chain, logistics, procurement, manufacturing, ERP, specifically people that love to target enterprise, those are who we help best, feel free to book in a call below to have a 20-minute call with me where we can audit your entire outbound and see if we are genuinely a good fit to assist you. Best case scenario, we get you a ton more demos. If not, you walk away learning a lot more about your offer and your market that you can use to implement with or without us to get more results. So book a call below. I'm Christian Casillo, founder of Lynn Lead Generation, the only outbound agency built exclusively for logistics, procurement, and supply chain software. Thank you.